Hey YouTube, it's your girl Niee here. I'm gonna be doing another video today. I just want to say before we get started that Thursday video will finally be up this week, and my website will be up this week or next week. I'm just waiting on my shipments, guys. So today's video is gonna be shedding light on how important it was for technology to evolve. This, like, technology came a long way. This case would not have been solved if it wasn't for the technology we have today. So before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and comment down below. In December 1995, a bloody and broken body of a teenage girl was found along Utah's river. She was naked. Her body was severely injured by the river's sharp rocks that she almost couldn't be identified. Krystal's life was sadly taken away from her. Her killer will continue to be free for 18 years. It seemed like her case would never be solved. On December 14, 1995, at 8 p.m. that night, near Salt Lake City, 17-year-old Krystal told her boyfriend Chris that she was going to go get some food at the local Circle K gas station. A few hours later, Krystal hadn't returned back to the motel that they were staying at. Around 11 p.m., Chris starts to worry about her. He went to the Circle K, to look for her and to talk to the employees to see what happened to her. Unfortunately, the employees didn't have any information. Krystal had never been gone or left this long or left overnight. Her and Chris was very close. They spent every waking moment together. When either of them left each other, they knew exactly where each other were. It was unlike her to disappear. When Chris woke up that morning, there was still no sign of Krystal. Chris didn't call the police though. He goes door to door asking their neighbors if he had seen her. I thought this was weird. I felt like he should have called the police. Anyway, there was no sign of her. At this point, Chris has that gut feeling when you know something bad is happening. Yeah, so he knew something was completely wrong with that picture. The following morning, around 8:40, December 15, nearly 45 minutes away from Chris and I said Tracy, sorry, Tracy is her sister. Krystal and Chris motels. And Ranger and his son spot something that they believe was a mannequin down by the river. But sadly, as they walked up close to it, it was not a mannequin. It was Krystal. Yes. So the ranger called the local authorities. The local authorities thought it was just gonna be like, like another fisherman body, which is still sad. But I guess at that time fishermen would be dead a lot. I don't know. But to his horror, it was way more than that. He then puts a call in for backup. I'm talking about the police when they arrived. The crime scene investigators and forensic girl, he was devastated. Well, I would be too. He tells dispatchers it's a young woman naked, bloody, and completely broken and beaten up. Once they arrive on scene, they immediately shut the area down and start investigating. These crimes are particularly hard to investigate because it's an open space down by a river. It's hard to find evidence because of the weather and animals. What is called, like the rain and stuff be washing stuff away. Yeah. So some of the evidence could have been destroyed. The investigators can't tell how long the bodies were at the scene and were exposed to the elements. Now they are racing against the clock to see how much evidence can be collected. Investigators soon realized that a lot of valuable evidence could have been clearly already washed away. Despite how long the crime scene has been there, investigators are still able to find valuable evidence around the victim's body. The investigators find several bloody rocks. Noticing this may be the murder weapon not far from her body, they found a pair of women's socks neatly folded up on a rock nearby. The victim is completely naked again. Whoever dumped the victim's body took all her clothing with him. When the medical examiner started examining the body, he discovered that Krystal's face was almost gone. The victim had blunt force trauma not only to her head but also to her face. She had defensive wounds, meaning our girl Krystal was a fighter. Also, she had a large puncture on her foot. Police were able to identify Krystal by her tattoos. She had one tattoo on her shoulder and one on her left breast. The police started investigating her case. The first thing they start looking into is Chris. You know, the boyfriend is always the mate, not the boyfriend or the mate, is always like the guilty one. Yeah, so they believe that the victim was beaten to death by the granite rocks that were found. Some rocks was the size of a softball, and some was over 50 fucking pounds. Besides the rocks and socks, police didn't have any hard evidence, so they started looking into identifying the victim first. The following day, the medical examiner discovered that in fact the victim died by blunt force trauma to her skull. They found 16 separate blows to her face and neck. They also found out that the victim died somewhere from 8 to 10 hours from the time she was discovered. The medical examiner decided to take crucial evidence from the body. This was so fucking smart. The medical examiner decided to take crucial evidence from the body. They didn't have technology back in the 90s, so the medical examiner definitely helped save this case by doing this. He then began running her fingerprints through the National Missing Person database and found nothing. The victim did not have a wallet or any clothes, so one of the officers sketched her tattoos and they released it to the media, hoping someone could come and identify the victim. That same night, Chris contacts the police and says that the victim is his girlfriend. They tell him to come in. Remember, I said he's their number one suspect. Yeah, they start questioning him. He says her name is Krystal and she goes by the name Baby C. They asked him when was the last time he saw her. He said, I saw her the night before when she was supposed to go get dinner for us at the Circle K. In his interview, he told police that Krystal had a strange phobia of socks. Excuse my finger. A strange phobia of socks. He said she didn't like taking her socks off, not even for him. He said he also made fun of her for folding her socks a certain way when she did take them off. Police still believe that he's the number one suspect. Despite having any evidence against him, they were operating thinking that the boyfriend is always the one who's guilty. After talking to Chris, they are able to identify the victim and find any records on her. They locate her father, let him know that they found his daughter. On December 17th, the police contacts Krystal's father. They state that your young teenager daughter was brutally murdered at the river. When the officers tell the father that, the phones go horribly silent. I said horribly. The phone just goes silent. Sorry. Like, you know, that is scary. Like, imagine getting that phone call. Like, I'd rather y'all come see me. Don't just call me. Anyway, after a few moments, the man says that it is impossible. My daughter is in her room sleep. After a few minutes of confusion, the man says the victim might be my stepdaughter, Krystal. He said Krystal had a long history of going under her stepsister's name, which is Tracy. She also lied about her identity so nobody would be able to know who she is. Remember earlier I made the mistake of calling her Tracy, that's why. So, she always lied, you know what I mean, about her identity. She just wanted to be on the low. So Krystal's stepdad said that she started working as a sex worker at a very young age. She would have never had a chance of life. And that's harsh that he said that to police, knowing the circumstances. Like something like that I would have just kept in the back of my head. That is just horrible. But anyway, like I don't know. And then she also didn't have a good relationship with her mother. So I don't know. Maybe her mother didn't try. I don't know. Krystal was born June 6, 1978. Sis is a Gemini. Her father died when she was just 4 years old. She didn't have a good relationship with her mother. Krystal always ran away from home. She was in and out the youth homes, always getting arrested. She was for the streets. She felt safer on the streets than at her very own home. The police were able to locate her mother from her stepdad, Jeff. When they talked to her mother, she confirmed the same thing that Jeff told the police. Krystal was doing drugs and hanging out with the wrong crowd. I tried looking for Krystal's mother's name, but sis wanted her privacy. She told the police that she knew this would come this day. Chris is definitely starting to look more like a suspect. Chris told the police that her name was Tracy. The police are now thinking like, yo, bro, you lying to us? But no, he's just letting you know, like, That's what she go by. But anyway, after the third time speaking with the police, Chris tells them that Krystal was the breadwinner. He relied on her. So the police realized that Chris didn't have a solid motive or a vehicle to transfer the body. He was dropped from the suspect list. Like just lower, not drop. Now that Chris isn't a suspect no more, the police has to go back and reanalyze their findings. The police knew that she was a sex worker known as Baby C. So the police go talk to the sex workers in the local area that where she would used to work at, and ask questions. But the sex workers, they wouldn't talk because they don't trust the police. On December 19th, police finally gets a break in the case with a new lead. A guy named Herb Fry met Krystal while driving his taxi throughout her neighborhood. He stated that he fell in love with her and wanted to marry her. Knowing all this information, the police pressed for more. Herb said that he was with Krystal the day before she disappeared. They was cutting it up. He wanted to chill, but Krystal's like, the DNA found from the skin cells belonged to a man. Like, that's a big. So they entered into the DNA profile, but it was too small to get a complete DNA profile. So the police took the partial symbol and compared it to Chris and Herb Fry. Chris didn't hesitate to participate with the police, and it was quickly determined that Chris was completely eliminated from the suspect list. Police decided not to be upfront with Herb. They didn't trust him. So police started watching his every move, learning his habits. One afternoon, police saw Herb on break smoking a cigarette. He then finished smoking the cigarette, throws it on the ground. The police runs in, pick it up, go test it for DNA, negative. So the one we thought was the killer, he is not the killer. He is not the killer, unfortunately. So Herb Fry didn't kill Krystal. Several more years pass and police are still stumped. In 2013, we have another tech upgrade in DNA testing. I'm telling you, these upgrades, we need them. And scientists are able to use what is called an MVAT to extract more DNA out of the bloody rocks. They finally get a big break in the case when scientists now have a complete DNA profile. 18 years after Krystal's Beslanowitch was murdered, police are able to take the completed profile and enter it into the FBI code system, which is a national database for suspects that have to submit their DNA to the system if they get arrested. The police finally got a match. Joseph Michael Simpson, my bad. His DNA is the skin cell that investigators found on the rock. Mr. Simpson was not new to the criminal world. He assaulted us. He stabbed. He got arrested for stabbing a man 13 times just for talking to his wife. Back in 1987. When police saw this case, they saw the similarities in both cases, all the anger, the rage. When he got out in 1995, he worked at oh my God, I can't talk. He worked for a shuttle company at the airport. He had to transport people to and from the hotel to the airport. Police quickly discovered that Joseph, like his route from the airport to the hotel, it had him driving through the Park City and the Pro Bear area every day. Also, he would drive the same route where Krystal was found every day. In 2003, while Joseph was out on parole, he was able to leave the state of Utah and move to Florida with his family. In August 2013, they were able to track him down at his mother's house. They needed Joseph's DNA to make an arrest for murdering, oh my God, I can't talk again. They wanted his DNA to arrest him for murdering Krystal. Yes. Thank you. All them years ago. I'm bad with math. LOL. They had to be 100% sure that this was the suspect. There was no room for a mistake. Police followed Joseph literally everywhere he went. Finally, on August 25th, 2013, police saw Joseph smoking that cigarette. Remember? Yeah, okay. Remember? Okay. They tested the cigarette, and 10 days later, they had a perfect match on the cigarette. So, 17 years, 9 months, and 2 days after the brutal murder of Krystal Beslanowitch, Joseph Michael Simpson is finally arrested. Oh my God, I said investigated. Arrested. Prosecutors present the case that around 8 p.m., Krystal was supposed to go get dinner for her and Chris, but actually she was meeting up with Joseph that night. Prosecutors believe that Joseph used money and drugs to lure Krystal to go out with him. He took her to the deserted river rural where he initiated unwanted sex, where she declines. She gets out of the car and starts haul assing, but when she was running, she hits a wire and punctures her freaking foot. Oh! Joseph eventually catches up to her, picks up that granite rock, and begins to beat her over the head repeatedly until Krystal dies. Then he left her for dead. The forensic evidence in the case was overwhelming. The blood-stained portions on the rock matches Krystal's, and the skin cells belong to Joseph. On September 29th, September 29th, 2016, the jury found Joseph guilty. My condolences go out to the Beslanowitch family. Like, I'm just doing these cases, like, even though this is my my third case, because the Thursday video is supposed to be out last Thursday, so my second Monday video, but my third video altogether. This being my third video, I'm just happy it was solved, because my first one was an unsolved case, unfortunately, where they didn't have any evidence, any nothing. Tara, yeah, check that video out. I'll link it somewhere. Yeah, so I just want to say, if y'all have anything to add or talk about, please talk to me in the comments. I will comment back. Best believe it. And I will see y'all in Thursday video. Peace. Don't forget to like, share, and comment.